what that would look like.
Yes.
So
I think a future that is female allows each of us to be our most authentic selves. It values, hi to all of AO's
miss
friends.
you too, Siwar.
It allows each of us to value our emotional intelligence. I think we tend to exaggerate this notion that women are too emotional. If that's true, then I would say that men are too ego-driven. I think that each of us have an extreme. So women can be too dialed into their emotions and too empathetic to the point of it being a problem, for sure. And that's part of our journey to manage that level of empathy. But it's on the job of the men as well to manage their level of ego. Right now, unfortunately, my president, I'm an American, is really wreaking havoc all across the world because his leadership is so exaggerated, leading from his ego as opposed to managing that and leading from a place that has the best intention of the people he aims to lead.
But don't we actually need more empathy in the world?
We definitely need more empathy.
So when they say it's too emotional, actually we need more empathy.
I completely agree.
So.
And I do think that actually brings me to the final point that I wanted to make in this short interview about fourth wave feminism. And Mir, we're going to come back to you in a moment, but we're not focused on that just yet. The fourth wave of feminism really focuses on social media, on using social media as a tool for increased effectiveness in activism and organizing. And obviously your work taught me that and was the most effective examples of that, especially in the 2011 Tunisian revolution. But if you saw Black Lives Matter using hashtag culture to mobilize people from being online to being in the streets and mobilizing people who otherwise wouldn't have been involved in activism, looking at the Women's March, which was the largest single-day march globally in the history of the world, simply because of the use of technology. So I think that it's important to recognize the value of social media in this fourth wave agenda and the fact that social media has a certain level of inclusiveness.
Someone wrote me in Tunisian and I wanted to say that actually Madame Gandhi speaks Arabic. So yeah.
احنا لسنا ماضي احنا لسنا ماضي لونك مش مقبول لونك مش عادي انا صوت انت انا Madame Gandhi. That's a new song produced by Madame Gandhi and Chebbi. It's gonna come out soon, Ali. Mahabek.
He's saying, oh, you guys look so cute. Okay, thank you for joining. For the rest of the people who just joined us, I just want to quickly and not go into the details of this. Mir, your point on inheritance. That's a debate in Tunisia right now on unequal inheritance. And I just, as a Muslim woman, I think I see Quran is for every time and every place, and that's what the Prophet said. So we cannot be stuck in the age. We changed a lot about the world of how we access information, how we have transportation, how we live, and therefore we can also develop our policies and our laws, and they have to fit to the world we live in today. And in Tunisia today, the equal inheritance is a discussion, and we're moving towards that equality because women today are actually leading the household, and also economically it's proven that when you give loans to women, they're more likely to sustain their projects. So we're talking about a totally different evolving world, and we cannot be stuck in what is and what is not allowed. And I think also Islam is about interpretations, and it gives a room for us to go deeper in our interpretation, and I think that's a good thing, but unfortunately is causing a lot of clashes of
and I think
views.
Just zooming out also and talking about all religions, religions were formed as a moral compass. They have a good intention at its core. I believe that. But I think that a lot of times religious leaders have oftentimes corrupted the intention of the religion across the board. I don't think that religion should be designed to uplift one group at the expense of others, to oppress one group at the expense of another, and to benefit another. And I would imagine that any religious leader, would have no intention of that.
I don't think we can change Quran. I think we use Quran for every time and place. It should be adopted and adjusted to every time and place.
As it has been.
And that should be included in our policies and laws and everything our society agrees on. All right, so moving on, you want to tell us about Fela and the inspiration of Nigerian artists?
One thing that really drew me also to Aya's work was her focus on a Pan-African movement. And I had read a lot about, thank you Nikki, we love you, and hi Hiba, welcome. For anyone who's just joining us, me and Aya met a couple of months ago at the Rockefeller Residency and just shared a lot of mutual values when it came to Pan-Africanism, when it came to music, when it came to a global feminist movement, and obviously our work in activism are perfect Venn diagrams of each other. And so it's been a joy to learn and to travel together to share our same values. We're aiming to do that today on this Facebook Live. Our last night together, Aya continues her work here in The Hague. I go on to play the Oslo World Festival.
And you can check, I tagged Madame Gandhi, so you can check her page and check her music.
I would love that. So, you know, the new record that I'm going to put out in a couple of months is very influenced by my favorite artist, whose name is Fela Kuti. And as many of you know, he was a Nigerian artist in the 60s and 70s, focused on anti-colonialism and using his music and his place, the venue, the shrine, as a very specific locus for activism, to mobilize people, bring them together, and organize against oppressive British colonial rule. And I was so inspired by his work because he used to look to Mahatma Gandhi's nonviolence practices in the 1940s against the same British colonial oppression. And Mahatma Gandhi in the 1920s, when he studied in London, used to learn nonviolence tactics from the suffragettes who were the women trying to get the vote from the same British oppressors. And I just found this sort of thread in history to be so profound that I wanted to write a song about it. And I used to be obsessed with my favorite Fela song, which actually has no lyrics, called No Agreement, that I played earlier today in the Facebook Live. And so that song is going to come out in a couple months.
Fela
Kuti, F-E-L-A space K-U-T-I. And if you want to come to Oslo this weekend where I'm performing, you can hear the song live. And right after me, you can hear his son, Seyun Kuti, also perform live.
Do you want me to play the background and you sing a little bit with it about habits?
You know what? It's in a totally different key, so this time I can't. But we will share with you. We will share with you some of the footage from the tour where I was singing Bad Habits all the time.
Cool. Okay, so we can wrap up in 5 minutes. But probably you could say also the future of your projects, the long term, and you also have a tour in India, so maybe you can share about that.
Totally. I'm excited because, you know, my family is Indian, and I spent 3 years growing up in Mumbai, and so I've always wanted to play for an Indian audience and also just see, you know, what aspects of my movement and my lyrics and my mission align globally. That's been really interesting and important to me because I spent most of my life growing up in New York City and Los Angeles. So on December 8th and December 10th, I'm playing in Pune and I'm playing in Delhi for NH7, which is a big music festival. I hope any of you who want to come from the MENA region or anywhere else will join. And then I think the future of my project really is to use music as a way to make a difference and move the needle on equality and authentic self-expression.
That's an interesting question from Amani. I want to know what your answer would be if anyone asked, how can you be a feminist and religious at the same time with all the inequalities and sexism that religions carry?
I think, you know, as I mentioned earlier in the discussion, I really genuinely believe that the intention of religion was never to oppress one group or one gender. I have to believe that in my core. I have to believe that religion was built with the intention of creating a moral compass, to give us inner peace, to make us better people, to treat others with love and kindness, and to make the world a better and safer place. And so if you just take that very simple notion into account, I can't imagine anybody else who was religious would value the oppression of another group, especially their women.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Madame Gandhi, for joining us.
Thank you, Aya. You're so inspiring.
And this will be published, so you can keep your questions coming, and we can tag Madame Gandhi again to keep on the conversation. Thank you for joining us, and love from The Hague.
Love. The future is female.